And I know you're scared. But you need to know this. You'll be with the big boys. So you gotta stand up for yourself. Because once you're marked in there, move! It will never end.
Welcome to Cal Cinema. This is Shot Caller. Shot Caller is the third and arguably best part of writer-director Rick Romanwau's prison trilogy. The first installment is 2008's Felon, which I enjoyed a lot and will come back to later, and just in my opinion, the less said about troubled middle child Snitch, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the better.
I'm a prison snitch.
Haven't you seen what happens to people who rat in prison movies?
Sure, they're on top of the world, then there's a big riot scene, then I don't know, I usually doze off.
The first thing to cover is that the film is absolutely carried by Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, which I was pronouncing Walter Coldau before I looked at my notes. The Game of Thrones star has taken a few more gritty roles since his time as Jaime Lannister, and Shot Caller definitely qualifies as gritty. Nikolaj transforms subtly from Jacob, the high-flying blue-collar worker he once was, to the ruthless, almost dead-eyed operator he's forced to become once inside prison. Money, as he becomes known. Side note, I can't think of many cooler prison nicknames than this in movies. Money is an alter ego of Jacob and is the result of a choice that any man hopes he never has to make should he wind up inside. Do you allow yourself to become a victim, or do you pay the price for being protected and respected? Not that respect is what Jacob is after, and his motivation for his later actions might even be seen as honourable, all things considered. Other standout roles include the eternally pissed off John Bernthal as Cowboy, Lake Bell as Jacob's wife, Omari Hardwick as parole officer / task force agent Kutcher, and Emery Cohen as Afghanistan veteran Howie. It's an all-round solid supporting cast. The story jumps back and forth between Jacob's original offence and incarceration and the evolution of his hardened money persona, which I thought was an interesting choice to regularly break up the story from both inside and outside prison. And life for Jacob is not easy no matter what side of the wall he is on. The film looks authentically brutal too, with it being shot on location between 3 different prisons across New Mexico. And there's something about the washed out tones, especially earlier on in the film, that really reflect Jacob's desperation once inside. Now, if you'd like to jump to the end of the review for a score and to avoid spoilers, then feel free.
Is there a problem?
We don't have a problem.
No problem.
No.
Otherwise, we're going to get into some major events of the movie. So, as Jacob is very much the loving, attentive family man up until this drunk driving accident, which cost his friend his life and ultimately ends up in Jacob shedding everything from his old life, his house, his marriage, and even his relationship with his son, who he's forced to push away to become Money, an inmate who is both feared and revered. Similar to Waugh's earlier, smaller effort Felon, this is an examination into what a man is willing to do to survive and who he can become in such a nightmarish place as a US prison, as Jacob is put in with the big boys, as his lawyer puts it. Where Shot Caller diverges from Felon is that there is no happy ending. Yes, by the time Money has bled out the beast on the roof, literally on top of the entire prison, he has won and his family will be safe.
Nobody's touching my family.
But at the cost of ever having his freedom or family back. It's a brutal ending, which I feel is the better of the 2 films. Even as enjoyable as it was to see Stephen Dorff's Wade maneuver towards his freedom in Felon, it does feel rather unlikely and happily convenient how everything comes together in the end for his release. Jacob's journey, on the other hand, starts dark and ends darker, and although there are major events which have to coincide for his plan to work, I feel of the 2 films, this is more grimly representative of the experience of the institutionalized prisoner. And while previously mentioned how Jacob feels like the most interesting character in his own story, Val Kilmer's John in Felon is certainly the more compelling character over Wade's more average Joe protagonist. Bonus points for Money's hardened appearance, completed by his slicked back hair and kick-ass handlebar mustache. Note to self, the golden rule in prison seems to be that if you have some macho facial hair, you'll probably be okay. The revelation that Money never intended on staying out on parole is an excellent and original twist in the already full genre of prison dramas, and his sabotage of the arms deal just goes to show how cunning he can be while maintaining his own moral code. Money is fully resigned to the life inside he must lead and the actions he must take to protect the people he cares about, and in that he is possibly even admirable given the impossible situation he's been put in, even if he becomes a man that to the outside world is condemnable. So, what's the verdict on Shot Caller? Well, right from the start, the tension is there and it never really feels like the pacing is an issue. Sure, there may be some events that sometimes stretch the believability of the story of a first-time inmate, but it all pays off in the end considering Jacob's overall journey. Equal parts harrowing, brutal, and even if you allow yourself to feel it, a little badass, Shot Caller gets validated at an 8.3 out of 10. What did you think of Shot Caller? Was it brutal enough for a prison drama? And if you've seen the trilogy, which was your favourite of the three? You can let me know in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe for more, and come back again to Cal's Cinema.